Your calls on that, and talking about Ukraine this morning as well. Never mind Zelensky being barred from speaking at Eurovision, which seems to be what we mostly are talking about with Ukraine. What about gains on the front line? What about a spring offensive as the temperatures rise to 20 or 25 degrees in Bakhmut and around? What about that progress? What about the sacrifice and the loss? Has the counteroffensive started? And what about the Dark Shadow missiles that we are now sending to the Ukraine? When will they be in operation? Is that a good idea? Does that have your consent? Cormac Smith is former strategic comms advisor to Pavlo Klimkin when he was Ukraine's foreign affairs minister. Cormac, good morning.
Andrew, good morning to you. It's lovely to talk to you again.
Very, very nice. They need tanks, they need 155mm shells, and they need these missiles. When are they going to be able to turn the key and fire them at the bad guys?
Well, look, I saw one report that, I've predicted, we don't know, but I've predicted that probably some of these Storm Shadow missiles that we're providing are already in the country. And I saw one report, not confirmed, that one may already have been used already. So I think, there's an awful lot of work has been done to get these to Ukraine before we've been told about it. And that's exactly how it should be.
I don't know how much one of these things costs, but plenty of people in this country are beginning to say things like, why are we sending our kit to Ukraine? I look over the Atlantic and Donald Trump is appealing to a base saying that everyone else should contribute a whole load more. I could finish this war in 24 hours, which is of course complete and utter tripe, which is normal. But there's just that feeling that once again it's dropping down the agenda. People not understanding quite what's at stake here.
Andrew, just to answer your question, about £2.5 million pounds a piece for the Storm Shadow. And look, I've been fighting this battle as to why really we should support Ukraine for about 15 months now. There's two reasons. One, I've got to remind people there is genocide being committed in a peaceful European country in 2023, and that is genocide that passes all 5 tests of the United Nations Charter. With some of the most horrendous war crimes. I spoke to a very good friend of mine, a Ukrainian diplomat, the other day. There's the Ukrainians are currently, with the aid of the international community, investigating around 75,000 war crimes. But look, Andrew, if I can say, the second reason we've got to do this is an assault on the rules-based order. And actually, Donald Trump was an assault on the rules-based order. So let's pray he doesn't get back near the White House. But, if we were to let Ukraine lose, that will not be the end of it. China is sitting on the fence. They will come in. Look at the sort of allies that Russia has in its pocket already with Syria and North Korea and Iran and Belarus. These people have made very clear for many, many years, the Russians and the Chinese in particular, that they do not accept our rules-based order. And, the rules-based order is what came out of the rubble of the Second World War that has given us the greatest period of peace and prosperity that the world has ever known. If that breaks down and, Ukraine really is the crucible, this is a wolf that really will come to our door.
Sir Geoffrey Nice, KC, who prosecuted at the International Criminal Court at The Hague, Milosevic, prosecuted him for war crimes. I've spoken with him 2 or 3 times on the programme, and he said, in relation to Putin and our reaction to Russia, is one of the things we have to guarantee that we do going forward, if there's ever to be a realistic chance of conviction of Putin, we have to come down on one side or the other in this war. We have to come down on the side of who is morally right, and we have to be strong and take a stand and a stance. And I've got an awful lot of people who I consider to be intelligent and well-read who are beginning to weaken and dilute their attitudes to Russia, Ukraine. And I don't really understand what's going on.
Well, I don't understand what's going on either, Andrew. And as I said, this is a battle that I have been fighting, on my own time, pro bono, because Ukraine is a country I fell in love with and I have many, many dear friends there. But, Sir Geoffrey Nice is absolutely correct. And that is why I say we have got to, there would be many of us, like yourself and myself, who know that we have a moral obligation. And let's just remind, I'm an Irishman. You can hear by my accent, but I've lived in this country for 36 years and served it as a diplomat. I'm incredibly proud of the role that Britain has played from the very start. If it wasn't for the weapons, Britain was the very first one to lead the charge here. If it wasn't for the weapons that we started to supply back in December 21, Kyiv probably would have fallen. These were the defensive anti-tank weapons. We continue to lead the charge with providing the Challenger tanks earlier on this year, which broke the logjam, which encouraged others. My diplomat friends in Ukraine tell me it's not just what the Brits do up front, like providing these Storm Shadows. It's what Britain has done from the very start to marshal support from others in the international community to get behind Ukraine. But ultimately, we're still not doing enough. The Ukrainians have been crying out for longer range artillery, among other weapon systems, for almost from the beginning of this further invasion. Everything, it seems, is coming a little bit too late, but better late than never. And yes, there is a much there's a much anticipated counteroffensive coming, which is likely to be critical for the position of the war. But at least we're getting it in now.
But so many people displaced and so many lives and plans wrecked, ruined, and so much destruction. And we're going to start seeing huge amounts of mental poor health from the people who have come from Ukraine, whether they be in Poland or the United Kingdom or wherever they are, or even internally displaced. It has been just horrendous. Cormac, thank you very much. It's always good to speak with you. Really appreciate your time. Cormac Smith there. 7:45 is